All right, good morning, everyone. I am very happy to see you all. So, how many of you have already applied to South Texas? How many are thinking of applying? Anyone actually admitted yet? Okay, good. We got the right people here. Okay, good. Uh, my name is Josh Blackman. I've been teaching here for about a decade, and I always love speaking at orientations, open houses, because at some point you'll probably be my student, and I like to see you all up front. Um, law school is an experience. Um, it's a challenge. And one of the reasons why we do this mock or simulated class is to give you kind of a flavor of what law school is like. Now, it's not real. You just got through reading 5 minutes ago, and I haven't expected you to read it yet. But I'm going to try to simulate as best as I could what a law school case is going to be about. All right. Now, the case you have in front of you is called Pierson versus Post. Pierson v. Post. If you can tell the year, 1805. Believe it or not, a lot of the law we read is very old. In fact, in your first year of law school, almost everything you read will probably be at least 100, maybe 200 years old. And the reason why is that the older cases are simpler. They're not complicated. So this case involves hunting, and it's a property dispute over a fox. Anyone here hunters? There's a hunter? Yeah, you like to hunt? All right, so let me just describe the facts to you, and I'll ask the hunters in a minute what you think. So you have one guy, his name is Post, and he's a hunter. And he's hunting a fox. And he has the hounds. He has the big hat on, right? He's got all the equipment. And he spends all day going after a fox. And then finally, he corners the fox at a beach. The fox is trapped, nowhere to go. Post is going to capture the fox. And then what happens? Pierson. Pierson's the other guy, the jerk, if you will. Pierson comes in at the last minute and steals the fox. Again, Post had spent all day hunting the fox, and then Pierson, the other guy, came at the last minute and ran away with the fox. Now they could have resolved this like hunters, and, sorted it out by themselves, but they didn't. They went to court and they appealed it all the way up to the top court in New York, Supreme Court. So how do you resolve this? Right? How do you resolve this? Every case that you'll study in law school involves some conflict, right? One person says, it's my fox, right? The other person says, no, it's my fox. And then the court has the obligation to decide who gets the fox. Actually, the fox is dead, so it's actually the fox skin they're fighting over. They're fighting over the skin. All right. So anyone want to volunteer? Any hunters? Who should win here? The hunter or the jerk? Raise your hand. I won't remember you. Actually, I might, but sometimes, actually, it's funny. Sometimes people, I had you in orientation 4 years ago. Oh, good to see you, right? You want to volunteer?
How did you catch the ball?
It's a good question. So if you actually read the case, it doesn't say. I don't think it was a rifle. I think they might have used maybe a bow and arrow, maybe a trap. It doesn't even say in the case. Does it matter?
Well, if the other one shot the fox, the other one took the fox.
Oh, good. So what's your name?
Natasha.
Latasha says, what if the hunter shot the fox and the fox was wounded
Right.
and the other one came along and just picked it up? Does that change what you think of the case?
Yeah.
Why? Why is it rightfully the hunter's?
Shot and you wounded it.
So he made contact with the fox.
Okay, what?
All right. So we have three issues, right? Where was it? So I'll make it easy for you. It's on a public beach, public park, belongs to no one. Okay. Second issue Latasha raises, did the hunter make contact with it? Did he shoot it, for example? Let me make the facts simpler. Let's say he just cornered the fox. He didn't make contact with a knife. He didn't make contact with a bullet. He just cornered him. And again, he's on the beach. So, here's the sand. There's the water. Fox has nowhere to go. Oh, so what's your name? Manuel says, do we reward the person who puts the most work into it? Who would that be? The hunter. Okay, so let's just show of hands. Who here thinks you reward the person who puts the most work into it, give it to the hunter? Raise your hands. Okay, fine. They both want it. They both want the fox. No wounding. All I said is cornered.
The first person who gives the touch.
Okay. So she said touch. There's a lawsuit. They try and change my question, right? Trust me. Welcome to law school, Tasha. Right? My question's different. He just cornered him. He's trapped between the water and the sand. Nowhere to go. What would you say, sir?
He's cornered. He should get it.
So you think the heart, even if there's no touch, there's no wounding?
Right.
Okay, you're shaking your head no. What's your name? Trey. Why are you shaking your head no, Trey?
I think whoever grabbed him first or touched him first, or actually whoever grabbed him first.
Grabbed. Okay, so what's your name in the back? James. No, he didn't. He came at the last minute and he would free ride off the hunter. That fact's not disputed. Okay, what do you mean intent? What's your name, sir? Fondell. What do you mean intent?
So this guy just riding by, was he intentionally looking to get a fox, or we've identified that the hunter was actually after this fox?
The hunter was on this fox for hours.
Right.
We know that. The other guy was just sort of on the beach and said, "Oh, cool, I want a fox," and he came by at the last minute.
I think intent has a lot to do with it. I mean,
Okay.
you just haphazardly coming by there, you really weren't.
Did you put the hard work into it with this guy and this guy coming along without the intent?
Excuse me, play it again?
Did the guy who just came at the last minute put hard work into it?
No.
All right. Okay. What's your name?
Carol.
Carol, what do you think?
I think that the jerk, so to speak, is the person that has rightful ownership.
Tell me why.
Because this guy put in all that work and that's great, but it's like hiding a $20 bill in the street. I mean, there's just instances.
So unless you lay hands on it,
It's free for all.
it's free for all. I saw a hand over there. Yes. What's your name?
Right or wrong, shouldn't, it's never end up in possession of it.
Why? But why is that the rule? Why is it the $20 rule? Why is whoever gets possession wins?
Well, there's a public space.
Okay.
Right? So like no one can talk, so.
Can you reserve a parking spot? Okay, so I used to live. No, it's true. No, I'll call it these two. But but it's true. I used to live in Western Pennsylvania, and you put a chair. So if you would shovel out the snow in front of your house, you would put a chair. And if you move that chair, you're in trouble. So once,
Not legally though.
not legally, but you'll be in trouble. Your tires might be slashed. Yes, right here, 1 and 2. What's your name? Chloe. Proof. How do you prove this guy was actually hunting for 10 hours? There's no Instagram, right? You didn't take pictures along the way. No, there's no recording. You can't prove it. So why is proof, Chloe, important? Very good point. Yeah, he's got in his hand. He's like, look, dude, my fox, right? He's got in his hand. You can't deny it. Can't deny it. Yeah, right there. What's your name? Armanda, go ahead.
Or whoever makes.
Yeah. Or think even in football, right? Let's say there's a fumble, right? And they all start piling on top. And they peel off one layer at a time. There's some guy in the bottom who actually has the ball. He gets to keep it. He had the recovery. Right? So possession is very important. So we've heard a couple of themes here, right? How do you actually acquire an animal through hunting? So one answer is whoever puts the most work into it, right? Whoever puts the most work into it gets it because that's what's fair, right? You invest all this labor. They want to say John Locke labor theory. Yeah, 1 second. So whoever invests most labor. The other one is whoever touches it, right? Another answer is whoever made the kill shot, whoever wounded it. So we have just by investing labor into it, hunting, actually touching it, or actually inflicting the mortal wound. Is it Pondell?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It was 1805. I'm assuming they don't have hunting license.
Nope. Nope.
Never mind.
What was your question? Let's say it was 2025. What would the answer be now?
Well, my question would be if the guy that haphazardly picks up the wounded fox
Right.
takes possession of that and he doesn't have a license, is he, is that his property?
Okay, so it's a good point, right? We now have game laws, don't we? Did you hunt? Did anyone hunt? Anyone ever hunt foxes?
I have to answer that carefully.
Yeah. So when you're hunting, right? You're out. What do you hunt? Deer. What do you hunt?
Deer.
Deer. Okay. So if you see a deer that was shot and wounded and you didn't shoot it, do you pick it up? You come across a deer in the woods that was shot recently. It's still still warm. Do you pick it up? Or you leave it there?
I probably wouldn't pick it up.
Why not?
Well, because I didn't shoot.
Who might have shot it? Do you want to take someone else's deer?
I wouldn't pick it up.
That's not right.
Well, well, we-
Because I didn't shoot it and, just a lot of other things when you talk about animals.
well, now you have an angry guy with a gun. Somewhere, someone shot.
Well, in the back, yeah, over there. Your limits. I thought that's what you're getting at.
Well, that's where I'm.
Right, the limits how many you can bag a year, right? Good point. Right. So again, so we have a couple rules, right? One, mere pursuit is enough. Just hunting, running after the animals enough, right? Number two, if you inflict the mortal wound, right? Even if you shot it and then someone else picks it up, the shooter still wins. Another one is you only win it if you got it in your hand. Imagine they both were fighting, pulling and tugging on the fox, and one guy ran away with it. Anything else? Any other ways to resolve this case? Yes. Was that Armando? I guess depends what kind of shot you're using. Back in the day, there's just musket balls, so they would probably stay in there. Now you use like buckshot or something, kind of sprays. It would depend. Yes. Ah, so you could prove the gun came from your rifle. That's creative. Yeah. Is that?
Several people are after the same animal. Whoever.
And they all fire. Imagine you shoot birds in the sky, all of you fire at the same time. Who actually made the kill shot? So you'll do another case in property involving hunting whales. A lot of hunting cases in property. And every whaling boat had their own harpoon with a different symbol on it. Might be a star, might be a square. So when the harpoon went through the whale, it would leave a mark. So you know whose harpoon it was. What's your
Would
name?
it matter? Mine's Christian,
Yeah.
sorry. Would it matter if, like, they're hunting for sport with somebody?
Why would that matter?
Well, because if one guy, if this is their livelihood, if you're taking something, that would be damages, right? Like he would have money owed.
So you have another case where actually people do hunt for the livelihood, others do it for fun, and that does actually make a difference. Very, very, very intuitive.
But then in another case too, if I heard the shot when they shot the animal, I probably wouldn't touch it. But like if I was there for a while and I didn't hear the shot,
You pick it
I'd
up.
probably pick it up.
All right. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty. This guy, you got an honest right there. Yes, yes. What's your name? Lisa?
Now, one of the things that I'm not a hunter, but I know that depending on the season, depending on the animal, you have to have a lot, or there's a time period where you could either use gunpowder or you can use bow and arrows and stuff like that. So if somebody illegally shot it when it was bow and arrow time,
Mhm.
you may not want to grab it.
Mm.
If there's a game warden around. you may
Ah.
not.
Well, you know, but there were no game wardens back then in the 1800s, and there were no laws. So, how does the court actually resolve this? Yeah. What's your name? Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
They both have to listen, and you have to look at the ethics
Yep.
of personal ethics, I would say. Like,
Uh-huh.
trying to spot this is corner.
Mhm.
But if I'm defending dirt and he has a box in his hand, I have to prove that That's your fox. You got it.
That's right. You got a job.
But
So what do you do here? What's your position?
my position as personal ethics, I would have to say post.
Okay, Hunter.
Put all the hard work in it.
All right. What do I? All right, we have our youngest applicant here. What's your name? What's your name? How old is she? Okay, I got a 4-year-old daughter at home, so. Okay, well, well, it's homework for later. You have to submit an assignment later, okay? Well, look, so what does the court do here?
I would say whoever was in possession, because possession is.
That's what the court does. That's exactly what the court does. What's your name, ma'am? Okay, very good. That is the answer. The majority, there are two opinions. The majority says we give it to the juror, give it to Pierson, because he had it in his hand. But there's a dissent. There's a dissent which says, no, no, no. We have to reward the people who invest labor into hunting. We have to ensure that this sport exists. Because if you could just steal a fox at the last minute, who's going to invest all this time and effort into hunting if someone can run away with it? We need to reward the hard work. You're saying, wait a minute, Josh, isn't there going to be a clear answer to this case? Welcome to law school, right? So you'll find that in almost every case you study, there are very good arguments on both sides. And this is a classic example with the majority went one way and the dissenting opinion went the other way. Britlin?
How do you prove the hard work?
Ah, this was a question before about proof, right? You can't. It's almost word of mouth. So if you read the opinion, says he was out there with his dogs and his hounds and you know the outfit. It's almost like you have to take the guy's word for it because there's no recording. And in most law cases, there's no video. That's like a modern thing. We have video of everything. There's no video back then. Right?
These times, that wouldn't apply. It's just that.
Well, even today, there's recordings of a lot of things, but not everything. Lots of conversations are never recorded. Not everything's on text message, right? So you still have to have questions of proof. GPS would help. The guy does GPS circling around the beach for 8 hours. That would actually be helpful. But that's not a fun case. This is much more fun, right? No one wants to deal with it because today it wouldn't matter. It'd be an easy case because they had an Instagram. Say, hey, I got my fox, you know. But we don't have a geotagging your post back in the 1800s. You know what else? All right. So this was, I think, a very good simulation. I'm actually very happy. You guys were extremely active. It's the worst when no one raises their hand and says anything. So you were all very active. So I'm actually happy about that. The average law school class tries to do a few things, right? First, it's trying to see, did you actually do the reading? So we kind of cheated today. I gave you the summary of the facts. But the first question of any law school class is, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, right? What are the facts of Pierson v. Post, right? And you can't just read the case from your notes. You have to sort of discuss it in your own words, meaning you have to really understand the case. And no matter what facts you bring forward, you probably forgot some facts. It always happens. And professor will say, what about this fact? And what about that fact? You know, was there a gun? Was it a public beach? Where were they cornered, right? There are different ways of sort of drilling down to the facts. And then we get to the harder part. What's the rule, right? What's the actual, we call the holding? What did the court actually decide? And you'll say, well, the court ruled in favor of Pierson, the jerk, right? And then the question comes that everyone loves, why? Why? Why did the court reach its holding? What were the rationales? What were the reasoning behind the decision? Evidence, rewarding labor, right? Proof, issues of proof that's easy to have the fox. By the way, you all said things are in the opinion. You didn't know this. You didn't read it yet, but everything you said is actually in the opinion. And then you say, well, what about the dissent? What did the dissent say? The dissent said you need to reward the people who invest labor. We need to promote this profession of hunting. Exactly. Yeah, you are rewarding bad conduct, aren't you? So in order to have issues of proof that are easier, you're rewarding bad conduct. And that's exactly what the dissent says. And then we get to the sort of what we call the policy question. Which is the better policy, which is what she just mentioned a moment ago, right? If you were writing a statute, right? If you're writing a law, who are you rewarding? The guy who invests the labor or the guy who has the proof, the actual fox in his hand? And I might take I don't know, 45 minutes on this case. Now, the document you have in front of you, you're welcome to read it later. It's about 6 or 7 pages long. It might take you 3 hours to read. Trust me on this one. It is language that you ain't seen before. It's got Latin. It's got, yeah, right? You just give me it. You got Latin in there. It's written in sort of this old-timey language that we don't speak today. You might have, it's like 20 or 30 pages per class of reading per class, right? That might take you a couple hours. Reading is tough. But you get better with it over time, right? The trick of law school, I describe it, it's like a marathon run at a sprint pace, right? It's sort of ongoing, but you have to just sort of keep on plugging along. You can't slow down, but it's rewarding. Law school's fun. Oh, I thought it was fun at least. I'm still here. It's enjoyable. You will make very good friends, very good connections. It opens up endless career opportunities. I'm sure they're telling you this ad nauseum, but the number of things you can do is just really endless. And I'm going to just stop here. We have a few minutes left to your reception. Happy to answer any questions. So, yeah, Latasha.
The guy says, "Well, I took the fox because I don't support animal cruelty."
Oh, you're funny, right? And he let the fox go free.
And he's like, "I just wanted the fox to go free. I didn't want it to be killed."
So neither of them had the fox.
So what would happen in that case?
What do you think? I suspect. Well, according to the majority, the animal rights activist caught the fox first, so it belonged to him. He got it in his hands. Yes, sir. Yep.
Does the dissent become the actual judgment, or is that just in the?
No. The actual judgment's the majority opinion. So there are two opinions in this case. What's called the majority and the dissent. Let's say there are 5 members of a court. 3 members join the majority. 2 members join the dissent. 3 is more than 2. And so the 3 win, the 2 lose, just like you're voting anywhere else. And the 2 members in the dissent has no legal effect. Only the majority has legal effect.
Okay, when you say legal effect, just let me ride with this real quick. So let's just say if you wanted to appeal this, can you appeal it based on the dissent?
You could, but you're at the end of the road. This is the state Supreme Court, the highest court in the state. So you got nowhere else to go. You've exhausted, as we say, you've used all of your appeals. You got nowhere else to go. End of the road. Can't go to the U.S. Supreme Court over this. Right? Eventually, at the end of the road, you got to accept the judgment. So, unfortunately, the hunter got nothing. He got robbed.
In like another case, later down the line, they could use anything.
Absolutely. Other cases can use a dissent, but you know what? We have this issue called precedent. What's precedent? Generally, if the state Supreme Court, the highest court in the state, makes a rule, we expect the lower courts to follow that rule. And they followed what's called the rule of capture. That's actually the name of the rule of capture. Whoever captures a fox first wins. And the law became the rule of capture. Good stuff. You like it? Like this case?
Yeah.
All right. What questions do you have? Anything at law school in general? Things on your mind? Teresa?
I was just, when I was listening and everything, I was just curious. We keep calling the guy the jerk, but
Maybe he's not.
depending on what you're looking at, you could see him as a clever guy.
He's a clever guy. Oh, yeah.
Because he got it before the other guy went into, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Maybe he's not bad. Yeah.
could have cornered it, but maybe this guy was smarter, faster, grabbed it before the fox could, I don't know, the fox could swim, but
Or he's just an opportunity.
An opportunist.
The lefers. That is about to pay out, but this person gets out because he's exhausted and then he puts his quarter in and then.
Does that actually work?
I've seen it.
I don't gamble. I don't know. I don't know. Don't gamble. What else? What other questions do you have in your mind? Anything about law school? Whatever else you want to ask? Yeah, Carol.
Hours would you say for study?
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Law school's a full-time job. So look, you're actually in class about 10 to 15 hours a week, studying probably 20 to 30 hours. It's considered a 40-hour week job. That's the top of commuting. I don't do this to try and scare you away, but to give you realistic expectations. Any of you looking at an evening program? Okay, about half of you. The evening program's a little bit less. So instead of taking, you take one fewer class per semester. So it's more like 20, 25 hours a week. It's probably less. It's still significant. I teach in the evening division. We all do. But it's a lot. Plus, you're coming in after work. You're tired. I was an evening student for my first year of law school, and I worked for it all 3 years. So it's a bigger challenge. But for full timers, it's probably about 40 hours a week. For part timers, 25-ish hours a week. And then you have extracurricular activities. You have mock trial. You have moot court. You have law review, which all the evening students are eligible for. So there's expectations, and wherever you guys go to law school, be very honest with your boss. I don't know if I was honest, and they knew, but there are times when you're just not going to come to work, right? You're going to have to study for exams. Um, if you have class starting at 5:45 and you work somewhere that's not so close, you're going to have to leave at a certain time every day. You can't stay late because there are attendance issues, right? You get 5 absences and you drop. So you can. We also have this new flex thing. They tell you about this? The flex thing, right? So you can actually take classes at home over Zoom or over electronic a couple nights a week, which helps. This is new, so we're sort of experimenting, but that does help. It's even if you're doing the online from home version, there's still a significant number of hours of reading, and there's no substitute for reading the cases and taking time to digest them. You can buy these shortcuts, you buy these outlines, these commercial stuff, and they all suck. They're all bad, right? You're cheating yourself. You get your friend's outline from last year. You're cheating yourself. Um, there is attrition, and I don't want to scare this, but if you don't put the hard work in, you won't last, right? So between the law school and the bar exam, it's a lot, and you need to put the hard work in, and you'll be rewarded handsomely, I think, once you get the degree and your license. But you have to go into it eyes wide open, and if you don't have realistic expectations, it will not be fun. If you fall behind, it's hard to catch up. They tell me not to scare you, but I can't be honest. I'm sorry. I have to be. I can't. I have to be honest. All right. Yes. Yeah. That I actually have no control over. You can ask me. I don't think I have an answer for you. What's your question?
It's just about, like, I forgot, there's other than
Ask them. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I don't do admissions. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to talk. I just don't know. What other questions you have? Yes. And what's your name? Elsa's. Oh, okay. So law school is unique. I don't know if they told you this. For your first year of law school, your final exam is 100% of your score. You heard me. For your first year of law school, your final exam is 100% of your score. There might be a midterm which might be worth maybe 10, 15%, but usually it's your final exam is worth everything. What that means is there's a lot riding in your, again, and this is all schools, all law schools, not just us. Every law school you go to, your final exam is everything. What does it look like? That was your question. Could be essay, could be multiple choice, could be short answer. They're in class, they're 3 hours long. And think about it, if you have 5 exams and the exam period is about 2.5 weeks, every 2-3 days you'll have an exam. So they're kind of stacked, which is why, again, if you're an evening division student, what a lot of our kids do is they just take leave during the exam period. Right. When I was an evening student, my first year, I told my boss, I'll be out for the next 2 weeks. And I did it. It's hard though. But people bank their vacation for the exam period, and that's a smart thing to do. Yeah, the exams are very important. Most of the first year professors, 1L, give a midterm, which either is graded for a very small percentage or it's ungraded. But the primary way that you evaluate yourself is the in-class stuff. Professors give quizzes in class. These clicker apps, you can do polling, right? We do this polling, which is very easy to do. And calling on people, right? I can call on maybe 40 people in the class. I just go around the room, up and down the rows, calling on everyone. And, even I, just sitting here, you get a sense of where students are and what their strengths and weaknesses are. So professors know. Talk to professors. We're very helpful. I'm here on a Saturday morning. I could be home with my kids, but I'm here, right? It's something we enjoy doing. We really care deeply about our students here, and it's the South Texas difference, all this marketing stuff, but we truly do care about you all, and that's why I'm giving you honest, candid advice because I don't want you to be here if it's not for you. Yes, sir.
Typical 1L year, this class, this time.
Yeah. So I mean, I teach in this exact room. I teach property in this exact room every Tuesday and Thursdays. Your 1L class size will vary if you're night or day. The average daytime section can be between 60 and 90. And I give a range because the admission numbers fluctuate from year to year. It's more art than science. So you make a number of offers and you have a yield rate, how many people accept your offer, and it fluctuates. So sometimes I have 60 people in a 1L class, and people have 70. I've had 80, I've had 85. But this room fits about 100. So this is about the max it's going to get for 1L. If you're in the evening division, they're smaller, just fewer students. My evening section this semester is 30. So it might be even half. I've had 50 evening students, I've had 30, it fluctuates. Now that we have this online flex thing, the numbers are getting rejiggered also, right? Everything kind of is off the mark, but it'll be in a room just like this. I'm sorry, the seats are not the most comfortable. Uh, there's some chairs. No, I mean, we are looking to renovate the classroom. It's actually been our we were going to do it before COVID and everything shut down, but that's on our agenda. These seats are not, I'm with you. I have my own meetings here in this room. They're not great. I'm sorry. But just like this, 90 people, you're divided into sections. They're like A, B, C, D, and you generally stay with your section for the first year. So you get the same people, you get to know them well, you become friends with them. The people you meet here, you'll know for life. Go ahead. Your first year, you don't get to choose your professor, so you might be stuck with me. I'm sorry. Your second year and your third year, yes, you do get to choose your professors. You get to choose which electives you want to take. The first year curriculum is basically set, right? You're going to take contracts, you're going to take torts, property, criminal law. You'll take constitutional law. Just the required classes are all set, and after that, you're on your own. And people can sort of specialize whatever they want to specialize in. Yes. What's your name? Mara?
So is the classes for the full year, or is there some classes that are for a semester? So you're starting August.
All classes are semesters, right? So every class will start in usually middle of August, and we finish right around Thanksgiving. So we start August, finish by Thanksgiving, and then exams are usually the first 2 weeks in December. By December 16th, 17th, we're done. And then the spring, we just start January 15th, give or take, and we're done by the last week in April. So that's usually the cycle. We have summer classes, which are optional, but a lot of our students, especially the evening students, take classes in the summer to try and accelerate. And a lot of our kids do graduate in 3.5 years for evening program. It's not easy. I wouldn't recommend it, but some of our evening students do that. We also have what are called intersession classes, where you can take a class like during winter break. It's like a 1-week class, meets for 8 hours a day, 5 days, and you get like a 1 academic credit. So you can sort of just cram it in. So a lot of our kids do the intersession classes as well. Inter is like between session, between the semesters. What's your name? Ethan.
I just had a general question, I guess. When you're preparing throughout the semester, how we kind of break it up and prepare for that final.
It's hard. Yeah, let me answer Ethan's question. Every student must develop his or her own rhythm, right? There's no one way to study. Some people study well by themselves. Other people like study groups. That's you, right? That's your choice. Some students like to read up on the weekends, especially if the evening division. A lot of the students just read up on the weekends. You may not, if you're an evening, you may not have time to read during the day, right? And what does that mean? If you read something on Sunday, you have to remember it on Thursday. And there's a gap, right? You have to sort of keep it fresh in your head, and you have to figure out how to keep that fresh. So it might be good for the Monday class, but come Thursday, it's a little bumpy. Some people read at night. Some people study at home well. Other people study in the library. We have students who get here at 7 a.m. and they sit in the library till they close at 10 p.m. And they do all their homework and they go home and that's it. They're free. There's an entire art of how to structure your notes, right? How to take notes while you're reading the case. How to take notes while you're sitting in class, right? What to write down, what not to. How to refine your outline to keep only the important stuff. You know, my exam's open book. Notes will not help you, right? Other exams are closed book. So you got to memorize stuff. So you have to know also what your professor is expecting of you. I share all my old exams. It's not a secret. Others don't. So you have to sort of figure out what kind of questions the teacher are asking. But really, and I mean this point, the best indication of if you are ready is day to day when you're in class, can you answer the professor's questions? And not just when you're the unlucky one being called upon. Like if I'm calling on him, in your head, you think, okay, I got the answer, roll it through, right? Pretend every question that's asked is being asked of you. Don't just sit there and like, oh, thank God he didn't call me, right? Because what I do is I just start down the rows. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go up and down the rows. Everyone gets one question. Other professors have a random number generator, and they just pick a student out of a hat. They get a random student, it's like boom, 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 boom. So you get no notice. Other students have what's called panels, where they'll say these 10 people are on call today, and if you're not in this panel, you're not on call. Some professors will do this. Will call in one student and stay in them forever, the entire class. I had a professor in law school that would stay until he got the question wrong. I was once on call for 45 minutes straight. Some professors make you stand while you answer questions. Old school. You go to court, my friend. You stand up for the judge. You don't sit down for him. So a lot. They answer your question? Maybe too much? TMI? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that Tiffany? Yeah, go ahead.
So I know it's a new thing, but do you have any idea of what these flex classes may look like since we would be, potentially 5
Did they
hours away?
tell you anything about it? Are you
No,
5 hours?
I've done a.
Where do you live? You live 5 hours away? Where do you live?
In Eastland.
Where is that?
It's near Abilene.
Oh man, you're in Abilene, so you're only coming once in a while. All right, so I don't want to misspeak because I'm not actually teaching it, but the way the online program would work is you would come here, I think, once or twice a semester for like an intensive, either a weekend or a long program. We're actually still working out the kinks. It's new. So in fairness, we don't have everything worked out. But all of your classes will be online. All right, this is not going to be COVID 2020 Zoom, make it up as you go along, right? So these are actually structured classes. There'll be components that are synchronous, that is live, and there'll be components that are asynchronous, that is recorded. So our faculty have recorded videos of lectures, which you watch on your own, and then there'll be live components as well. And then there'll be some what they call the residents. We actually have to come here and have an in-person program to get to know people. That's a short answer. There are only a handful of schools in the country that offer this. It's very rare. So we're putting a lot of thought into it, but I don't know if the exact details are 100% yet. That there are people, if you want, email me. That's my name. You can find my email address. And I'm happy to put you in touch with the people who do the Flex program. I don't want to give you the exact because I'm just not teaching it, but happy to give your answers. Anyone wants to email me also, that's my, I'll just put my address on the board, make it easier for you. Up to JBlackman@stcl.edu. Jay Blackman, and if you want to email me, I'm happy to. If I don't know the answer, I'll put you in touch. Now you have a reception that I think started what time now? Yeah, you guys came in late, so I want to keep you a little bit longer. I'll stay here and answer some questions, but if you want, it's on the 6th floor. Emily Sloan, it's SLOHM. There'll be signs for it. Go take the elevator to the 6th floor, but I will wait here, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And email me if you have a question later. Thank you so much. This was fun. Oh, thank you. Yes.